Greetings and salutations. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today we're going to take a look at KDE Neon, which is a distribution of Linux that comes to us directly from the KDE project. KDE makes a wonderful desktop called the Plasma Desktop, and they also have an entire suite of applications. KDE is one of the oldest desktops in Linux, if not the oldest. I'm just not 100% sure of that, and they've been around for a long time. If you had asked me last week whether I was going to be doing a video about KDE anything, I probably would have said no, because I have not been a fan of KDE in the past. I have never done a video about KDE on my channel. I've never even talked about it, and when people asked about it, I just said, I don't do KDE, I'm not a fan. However, today, in this video, I'm going to have to eat a lot of crow, because I'm actually very much enjoying using KDE. So first, a little bit about the distro itself. They introduced this sometime last year, and it is the first time that a desktop project that had traditionally been doing applications in desktop environments had put out their own distro. GNOME made some noise about doing this a few years ago, but it never happened. KDE has done it, and the distro is unique in that, unlike distros that you can download that feature the KDE desktop, this distro is being administered by the people who create that desktop, and it is kind of semi-rolling in a sense that anytime that the KDE desktop is going to get new features, once they consider them to be stable and ready to go, they're going to show up with your updates, so you're always going to have the very latest. Now, what they have done here is they have based this on Ubuntu 16.04. And when I say based it, I mean based quite literally, because there are no Ubuntu utilities in this thing. This thing is really all KDE down to the very base system. So you will find yourself, like for instance, installing a deb package, and when you click on it, you will get a different kind of installer than like GDebi. They use something else, Qt deb package installer or whatever it's called. So a lot of those tools that you're used to aren't there. When you install the distribution, you don't get a whole lot of applications. It really is just the distribution and a bare minimum set of applications. I think VLC is included. There is something that you can use to view pictures. There is Firefox is included, but other than that, that's it. So if you want to add to this, then what you need to do is go get all of the applications that you'll need. So this is not necessarily for the new user. This is for somebody who is very familiar with what they want from Linux and knows the applications that they want and doesn't mind rolling up their sleeves and taking some time to configure things to get it the way they want it to. So let's take a look at the desktop here. This is my KDE Neon desktop, and I do like it. It's very simple and straightforward. So if I take my mouse and put it all the way up here at the corner, I got a hot corner that gives me an expo mode, and it shows me all of the applications that are running on the system, not just the desktop. So I have two desktop here. Here's one, there's two, and to switch back and forth, it's Control and then the F keys depending on how many desktops you set up. So that's different from what I'm used to in kind of like GNOME-based or GNOME-esque desktops where it's alternate control and the arrow keys. So that's pretty straightforward. Then we have this little applet here up here in the corner, and this just kind of gives you a shortcut to some different things here. Like here's where we can add some widgets to the desktop. The only one that I'm using is folder view. This desktop is not active in the sense that you can drag folders and files onto it, but it is not inactive either, because I can right click and I have all kinds of settings. I can also put icons for programs and things like that here on the desktop. But I kind of like this because this is a compromise between having a completely dead, inactive desktop that doesn't do anything and then having a fully active desktop where you could find yourself dumping a whole bunch of files all over the desktop. So in this case, I added the folder view widget, which gave me the desktop. It gave me a link to my home folder. It gave me a link to the trash. And then, of course, there's the work folder, which is always on my desktop. And this way, it kind of keeps it all in a nice little box. And I can move this around if I want to. I can put it here, put it here. I had it up here in the corner, but then I changed this background, and it's got such a groovy moon up there. I didn't want to lose the moon, so I moved it down there. So haven't quite decided exactly where that's going to live yet. So let me show you how that works, because it's pretty cool actually. I have set up the screen capture here, the screenshot, to when I just hit print screen, it takes a screenshot. And then I have configured it to save it on the desktop, so now you see that file shows up. If I want to view it, click it once. It's not double click to open things, gang. That's something I had to get used to. And it's always been the way it was in KDE. So there's my file there. I can edit it, look at it, play with it, do whatever I want to it. And then if I want to get rid of it, I just drag it in the trash. Yes, and it confirms. Do you really want to do that? Yep, yep. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up the home folder so I can show you Dolphin, which is the file manager. Dolphin kind of works the same way. It is single click. So if I wanted to open up the desktop here, it's just one click to get to it. If I want to highlight the desktop, you notice if I hold the mouse a little higher there, I now get that little check mark and I can highlight things. So if you wanted to get rid of 2 or 3 things, that's how you would do it. You would just highlight it like that. Use the control key to do that, of course. So there you go. Little bit different operation than you're used to probably in something like Kaha or Thunar or Nautilus or whatever. But this is a very powerful file manager, and it's Dolphin, and it's been around for a long time. And I've actually, one of the things I've always liked about the KDE environment is the file manager. So that's enough about that. I mean, there's a couple of things here. Let me open that back up. I just wanted to show you. You can dynamically change the size of your icons. You can have it do whatever you want it to do. If I click on pictures, I can have it show previews, or I can have it not show previews. It's right there. So if I want previews, great. If I don't want previews, that's fine. I can make these files huge so I can see the pictures. You get the point. It's actually a very cool thing there going on. All right, down here to the panel, we have the menu, and I want to talk about the menu in a minute. You can add icons to open up different applications. And then down here, you see that we have 2 applications open, and it doesn't matter what desktop they're on. So if I open it that one, it slides over. I like that. And then over here, we have a desktop switcher, which I really don't need because there's all kinds of ways to switch the desktop. Control and the F keys will do it, and then you can just go to a blank spot on the desktop here, and then you can scroll to however many desktops you have open. We've got a clock. Clock is connected to a calendar. You get the point. All right. Let's talk about this menu, because this menu is awesome. This is the best menu that I have ever used in any desktop environment ever, period. Love it. Done. Okay? So to open the menu, you can either take your mouse and come down here and click, or you can use, it's alternate F1 to open the menu. And this is what it looks like. So over here you set up your favorites, and you do that quite easily. You go to your applications and you choose an application. So if I wanted to do a favorite for Skype, I can add it to favorites. I can add it to the panel. I can add it as a launcher. I can put it on the desktop. I can do all kinds of things with it. So now I've added Skype down here, which at this point means I'll have to scroll my favorites. So I want to take that off. Done. That's it. So we get all of the applications here. And then we have your history, stuff that you have open, stuff that you have played with. And, well, I showed you computer and said history, but you get the idea. And then here is where you can log in, log out, and they just say leave. So very simple, very straight and basic, and works. I like it. Now, up here, you can just start typing to search. So if I wanted to open GThumb, and yes, I know I have GThumb installed, and that's a GTK application, and there's probably something better in the KDE suite of applications, but, you know, I wanted to keep it kind of familiar to start with here. If I want to open GThumb, I just start typing, it shows up, enter will open up the program, done. But not only can I search for things like programs, I can also search for files on the system, which is something that a lot of other menus don't do. Now, Unity, which is the menu that comes, or the dash in Unity has a feature that does that. But what it does is it actually searches libraries that you create. So to search pictures, it has to be imported into Shotwell first. To search music, it has to be turned into a library. This doesn't have to do that. It just searches files on the system. So if I type in The Stranger, well, if I do it right, you see now it's going to show me all of the songs that are on Billy Joel's album, The Stranger. Pretty cool, huh? But let's just say we don't want to do a quick search for something. We're working on something. Don't want to open up the menu, that's fine. Alternate F2 opens up this little search box up here. I can do exactly the same thing. So if I open up The Stranger, if I do a search for that, it shows me all of those songs. And if I type in GThumb, there it is. I can just click on it and it'll start to run. Whatever works easiest for you. So that's pretty cool. That is the basic desktop environment. This is all configurable. You can change it. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the settings here in the KDE desktop because they are cool. And, you know, I always thought that KDE had a little too much going on, and there was, why do you have to have all that control? Why would you want to configure that? And then I started playing with it, and I realized that, hey, I am been able to get this machine to do exactly what I want it to do. So here's the settings, and if you are familiar with YAST, which is the settings manager for OpenSUSE, this reminds me a lot of YAST. So the first thing is appearance, and we can choose a desktop theme here, just kind of like a basic theme, Breeze Dark for instance, and then there's more to the desktops, and this would be like your things, widgets on the desktop and whatever. And then we can tweak some other things about themes here. We can tweak the splash screen. So that's pretty straightforward. Then we can individually choose colors if we want to and create our own theme, which is something that's difficult to do in like GNOME, for instance. They don't have any facility to be able to do that. This I absolutely positively love, and it's one of my favorite things about this is that I have control over these fonts. I can make them as big or as small as I need to. I can control DPI scaling for the entire desktop. Thank goodness. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, because I have been able to make things where I can see everything, which is a problem that I have been having as of late in GTK GNOME-based type desktops. Qt wouldn't render properly, GTK wouldn't render properly, and it's like, okay, I didn't have a whole lot of control over that, right? So as far as icons are concerned, I have loaded up the GNOME icons. Okay? I know. I like them. They're just gaudy, and I just like those icons, and I realize that some people would probably say that I'm committing some sort of heresy against the entire KDE project doing that, but sorry about that. Okay. So, what about GTK applications? Guess what? You can choose your theme for them separate from the theme for the desktop and the Qt applications, so you can make everything look the way you want it to. So I was able to do that. So I'm just staying real close to the what the distribution comes with. I'm using Breeze Dark for GTK, which means that when I open up a Qt app, so for instance, let's open up VirtualBox, which is Qt, and you will see how that renders. That's what it looks like. Now let's find a GTK app. And for instance, okay, well, Firefox is GTK. And it's probably not the world's greatest example right there. Okay, I want to make it go away now. That's something I want to show you guys later. Let's find, let's do another one here. Where's GRSync? So this is how they GTK compares to Qt when they render. It does look a little bit different because I have customized the Qt theme a little bit more. So they're not quite exactly the same, but you know, I'm not running for the amount of Qt versus GTK applications I have on this system at this point. That's fine with me, but you get the point. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to show you this first of all. Here's Google Chrome, and you're going to notice something right off the bat here. If you look carefully, there are no controls to close Google Chrome that you would ordinarily see. So what you get is when you do this, when you install Chrome, the little bar is up here. I can't stand to have the title bar, the menu bar up here. So what I do is, let me open it back up instead of closing it, dummy, is I go ahead and tell it, no, I don't need that, and then just live without the controls. There may be a way to fix that. I don't know. I don't care, actually, because usually when I close Google Chrome anyway, I'm doing it from here, and I close it a tab at a time. It's just a habit that I've gotten into. And then if I'm going to close the whole application, I'll just do alternate F4. So now let's look at Firefox again. You'll notice that I have a plugin on Firefox where I have eliminated there we go. I've eliminated that top bar as well because I can't stand it on a browser. And this time around, I've actually got the buttons, but I don't get them when. See, I don't get them from Firefox when it is windowed, but if I maximize it, now I get it. So you go figure that one out. That was the weirdness that I came across there. Okay, so that's enough looking around the desktop. One thing I did want to talk about here is I know that some folks have had problems with sound in KDE. I took a little while to play with that, and I kind of figured it out. So if we go to settings here, there we go, settings, system settings, and we look at multimedia. Here's where your sound settings are, and they pretty much, it's a little bit more complex and it's more layered than you're probably used to, like with the real simple settings that you get in the volume settings that you get in your taskbar. And so what you pretty much have to do is you have to set it per application, it seems to me. Like for instance, Simple Screen Recorder, I want the input to be the microphone. Skype, I want it to be a certain microphone. So, excuse me, you have to go through and set that up. And so there you go. Anyway, all right. So that's about all I have to say about this for now, except that I will tell you that I did have to add the shortcut to start the terminal because I am so used to pressing alternate control and T. You can do that. Wanted to show you the performance here. Now this system's been up for a while, so it's using 1.2 gigs of memory, but when I first restart it, I'm seeing probably about 650 megabytes to run the desktop as it is. However, this thing performs really well, and those of you who saw the video that I did where I was demonstrating Simple Screen Recorder, I did that one a few days ago, you may notice that this is not working as hard to capture this video on KDE as it was on that. So just something to keep in mind there. Alright gang, I'm going to use this for a while. I'm really liking it. I am enjoying playing with this, and I think this is going to be my driver for a while. I know that I have said that in other videos, and then you come back and I'm running Linux Mint. But before I made this video, I actually played with this like for 2 or 3 days first to make sure that it was really going to work for me before I put up the video. So thank you very much for watching. I know I didn't cover everything that I wanted to cover, but this is just a look. It's not a review. It is just a very cool, different distribution of Linux. and a very nice implementation of the KDE desktop. And the first time that I have ever used the KDE desktop that I actually really liked what was going on, and I could adjust things the way I wanted it to get it to do what I wanted it to do. You know, like make things big enough for me to see. That's really important. And I've noticed that with GNOME and the GNOME-based desktops, it's getting harder and harder and harder as they develop. Whereas in KDE, it's like, oh, set your font size, set your DPI. And for those of you who have high-resolution monitors, let's say you're trying to watch this on like a 4K TV, you really need to be able to control that. And KDE gives you that ability to do that. So anyway, thank you for watching. Check out freedompenguin.com for lots of great stories about Linux. Check out easylinux.com. And check out Easy Linux on the web. Or Easy Linux on Facebook. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah. You know that page right there? Because this video will end up there, and pretty much everything that I find that I think that the average desktop Linux user might find interesting will end up there. So you definitely want to like and follow that page. Okay? Thanks, gang. Talk to you again soon.